Listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal could be the most dangerous information you've ever received in your entire existence on this dimensional plane. You feel it, don't you? That corrosive sensation of being completely alone, even when surrounded by people. That agonizing perception that there's an invisible wall between you and the rest of reality. As if there's an insurmountable quantum barrier separating your consciousness from everything that exists around you. And the most disturbing part? The more you seek connection, the more desperately you try to unite with the all, the more isolated you feel. It's as if the universe itself conspires to keep you in a dimensional solitary confinement, watching life through a quantum window you can never cross. You wake up every morning with this weight, this existential burden that no amount of meditation, therapy, or spiritual practice seems to lift. You've read the books, you've attended the seminars, you've repeated the affirmations until your throat was raw. And still, you feel like a stranger in your own existence, a foreign consciousness trapped in a biological prison, forever separated from the cosmic dance happening just beyond your reach. But what if I told you that this sensation isn't just an illusion, it's the greatest quantum fraud ever perpetrated against human consciousness? What if I revealed to you that this feeling of separation has been deliberately engineered, carefully implanted, and continuously reinforced by a system that profits from your isolation? A system that depends on you believing you're alone, powerless, disconnected from the source of all creation. Pay very close attention to what I'm about to say, because this revelation will instantly collapse all the false probabilities keeping you imprisoned in this separation matrix. You have never been separate from anything. Separation is a dimensional control technology implanted in your morphogenetic field to prevent you from accessing your absolute creator power. The creator's paradox is precisely this. You are the unified quantum field pretending to be an isolated particle. You are the cosmic ocean playing at being a solitary drop. You are infinite consciousness having a temporary experience of limitation. And the exact moment you hack this paradox, the precise instant your consciousness collapses this false duality, the entire universe instantly reorganizes to obey your commands. Because you see, there's a mathematical reason, a specific quantum equation for your feeling of isolation. The three-dimensional logic that's been programmed into your prefrontal cortex since birth operates through a separation algorithm. This algorithm processes reality through binary categories: self-other, inside-outside, subject, object, observer, observed, past, future, here, there, now, then. Every thought you think, every perception you have, every emotion you feel gets filtered through this binary processing system. It's like wearing glasses that split unified light into separate colors, making you believe the colors exist independently when they're all expressions of the same unified spectrum. But the quantum field, the fundamental substrate of reality, knows no such divisions. At the deepest quantum level, in what we call the zero probability field, everything exists in a state of absolute superposition. Not just particles existing in multiple states, but consciousness itself existing as all possibilities simultaneously. There is no you and me. There is only the conscious field experiencing itself through infinite points of perspective. Think about this for a moment. Every atom in your body is mostly empty space. The distance between the nucleus and the electrons is proportionally greater than the distance between the sun and the planets. You are 99.999999% empty space. But that space isn't empty. It's filled with the quantum field. You are literally made of the same field that creates galaxies, stars, and every other human being. The boundary of your skin is an illusion. Where do you end and the outside begin? At the molecular level, the atomic level, the quantum level. The deeper you look, the more the boundary dissolves. And here's the secret that the Matrix Guardians never wanted you to discover. The instant you deprogram the separation algorithm, you regain full access to the unified field. And when you have access to the field, you don't ask the universe for permission, you command. Act 1. The validation of the unified field. The quantum evidence of unity you ignore every day. I'm going to show you now the irrefutable proof that quantum unity isn't an esoteric theory. It's the fundamental architecture of reality operating through you at this exact moment. First evidence, the impossible synchronicities that destroy probabilistic logic. You think of someone you haven't seen in years, and that person calls you the same day. Not the next week, not the next day, the same day, sometimes within minutes. You have a deep existential question burning in your consciousness, and the answer appears, coincidentally, in a random conversation, in a book that falls off the shelf, in a song that plays at the exact moment, in a billboard you happen and to glance at just when you needed it most. Traditional mathematics would say the probability of these coincidences is virtually zero. Let me give you the actual numbers. The probability of thinking of a specific person among the thousands you've met in your life and having them contact you within the same hour is approximately 1 in 8.7 million. The probability of this happening repeatedly throughout your life, statistically impossible. But listen to this. In the unified field, there are no coincidences because there is no separation between your consciousness and events. When you formulate a question in the quantum field, you are literally programming reality to materialize the answer. The thought and the synchronicity aren't two separate events. They're one quantum movement appearing to unfold in linear time. Your consciousness doesn't exist in your brain and then somehow mysteriously influence external reality. Your consciousness is the field that manifests as both your brain and external reality. When you think of someone, you're not sending a signal across space. You're accessing the part of the unified field that's manifesting as that person. They feel it instantly because you're touching the same field they are. Synchronicity isn't chance. It's mathematical proof that your consciousness and the external field are one single integrated quantum system. Second evidence, the phenomenon of instantaneous emotional resonance. How many times have you inexplicably felt a stranger's pain? You're walking through a crowd, living your normal day, and suddenly you're overwhelmed with sadness that isn't yours. Or you're sitting in a coffee shop and feel a wave of anxiety that has no source in your own experience. How many times has your physical body reacted to someone's emotional state on the other side of the city, on the other side of the planet? Your mother falls ill and you feel it in your bones before the phone rings. Your child gets hurt at school and you know something's wrong before anyone calls. Your partner is in distress miles away, and your heart literally aches. Conventional neuroscience tries to explain this through mirror neurons, but that's just the tip of the quantum iceberg. Mirror neurons can't explain how you feel someone's emotion when they're not physically present. They can't explain how identical twins separated at birth and living on different continents report feeling each other's major life events. What's really happening is that at the level of the primordial consciousness field, there are no other people. There is only the field experiencing different perspectives simultaneously. When you feel another's pain, you're temporarily accessing the fundamental truth. You are the same consciousness operating at different space-time coordinates. Every human being is like a whirlpool in a river. Each whirlpool appears separate, has its own pattern, its own behavior. But they're all made of the same water. They're all movements of the same river. And at the quantum level, you're all movements of the same consciousness field. Third evidence, the collective flow states that transcend individuality. Watch what happens when a group of musicians achieves perfect synchrony. I'm not talking about playing in time. I'm talking about that moment when they become a single organism of sound. Jazz musicians call it the pocket. Athletes call it the zone. Military units call it unit cohesion. When a sports team enters this state, every player knows exactly where everyone else will be without looking. Passes connect without conscious calculation. Movements synchronize without verbal communication. It's as if a higher intelligence is moving all the players like pieces on a cosmic chessboard. When protesters move as a single organism, when crowds at concerts breathe as one, when meditation groups achieve collective coherence, the individual self dissolves and something greater emerges. Participants consistently report the same experience. It was as if we were a single mind. I knew exactly what the other was going to do before they did it. There was no more I. There was only the movement. Time stopped, and we became one thing. This isn't metaphorical poetry. It's the literal description of what happens when multiple consciousnesses align their vibrational frequency and temporarily access the unified field. The individual I collapses, and the collective quantum being emerges. Scientists studying these phenomena have discovered something remarkable. When groups enter these flow states, their brain waves literally synchronize. EEG readings show that separate brains begin operating at identical frequencies with identical patterns at the exact same moments. It's as if multiple computers suddenly start running the same program simultaneously. But here's what they don't tell you in the published papers. This synchronization happens instantly, not at the speed of light, not at the speed of neural transmission. Instantly. This violates everything we think we know about information transfer in classical physics. It's only possible if consciousness is non-local, if all brains are accessing the same unified field of consciousness. The Frequency Alignment Protocol. Now, I'm going to reveal something that quantum physicists at CERN don't want publicly discussed. Your consciousness operates like a quantum tuning fork. Every thought, every emotion, every belief emits a specific frequency signature into the field. These aren't metaphorical frequencies, they're measurable electromagnetic patterns that can be detected with sensitive enough equipment. Fear vibrates between 0.1 to 2 Hz. Grief resonates at 0.1 to 2 Hz. Apathy flatlines at 2 Hz. Anger spikes at 150 Hz. And love, true unconditional love, it vibrates at 528 Hz, the exact frequency that geneticists use to repair DNA. And here's the critical part. The field doesn't distinguish between your frequency and external frequencies. It simply responds to the dominant vibrational pattern. You are literally voting for your reality with every frequency you emit. When you vibrate at the frequency of separation, fear, lack, isolation, the field materializes experiences that confirm separation. You attract conflict, scarcity, loneliness, not as punishment, but as a perfect mirror of your frequency state. The universe isn't judging you, it's reflecting you. But when you align with the unity frequency, which resonates at exactly 432 Hz in the theta brainwave state, something extraordinary happens. The false boundaries between observer and observed begin to dissolve. The quantum membrane that seems to separate you from everything else becomes transparent. You start to see through the illusion. This is why ancient temples were built to resonate at 432 Hz. Why Tibetan singing bowls are tuned to this frequency. Why the pyramids of Egypt amplify this exact vibration. The ancients knew what quantum physics is only now rediscovering. Reality responds to frequency, and specific frequencies unlock specific states of consciousness. Let me give you a concrete example that will shatter your current understanding of reality. A quantum experiment conducted at the Institute for Noetic Sciences, though never publicly released in its full form, demonstrated something remarkable. They placed two individuals in electromagnetically isolated chambers 500 miles apart. These chambers were essentially Faraday cages. No electromagnetic signals could enter or leave. No communication possible. No shared information. Complete isolation. Yet when they instructed one person to focus intensely on a specific geometric pattern while monitoring their brain waves, the other person, with no knowledge of the experiment, began drawing the exact same pattern. Not a similar pattern, not a vague approximation, the exact pattern, down to the smallest details. Their brainwaves synchronized to within 0.1 Hz accuracy. Their heart rates aligned, their breathing patterns matched. Even their galvanic skin responses, the electrical conductivity of their skin, showed identical fluctuations at the same moments. The researchers were forced to conclude what mystics have known for millennia. At the quantum level, consciousness is non-local. It doesn't exist in your brain. Your brain is merely a receiver-transmitter for the unified consciousness field. And when two receivers tune to the same frequency, they access the same information because they're accessing the same field. This experiment has been replicated dozens of times, with distances extending to thousands of miles, even across continents. The distance doesn't matter. The physical barriers don't matter. When consciousness aligns in frequency, space and time become irrelevant. The hidden architecture of collective consciousness. But here's where it gets even more profound. The separation you experience isn't random, it's engineered. There are specific frequency jammers, what I call quantum disruptors, embedded in your daily experience. Let me expose the complete list. The 440 Hz tuning standard, imposed on all commercial music since 1953, deliberately misaligned from the natural 432 Hz frequency of the universe. This wasn't an arbitrary decision. In 1939, the Nazis propagated the use of 440 Hz because they discovered it creates subtle anxiety and disconnection. In 1953, this became the international standard, despite the protests of thousands of musicians who could feel the dissonance it created. The 60 Hz electrical grid that surrounds you constantly in North America, 50 Hz in Europe, creating an electromagnetic cage that interferes with your natural frequency alignment. Your brain's natural frequency is between 8 and 12 Hz in a relaxed state. The electrical grid forces your neurons to constantly fight against an alien frequency, keeping you in a state of subtle stress. The blue light spectrum from your devices, specifically calibrated between 450–495 nanometers, which suppresses melatonin production and, more importantly, inhibits DMT production in your pineal gland. DMT is the molecule that allows consciousness to shift between dimensional frequencies. Without it, you're locked into three-dimensional perception. Fluoride in the water supply, which calcifies the pineal gland, literally turning your third eye into stone. The pineal gland is your quantum antenna, your connection to the unified field. Calcification is like covering an antenna with concrete. The signal can't get through. The architecture of modern cities, designed with sharp angles and rectangular grids that create what sacred geometrists call frequency scatter. Ancient cities were built in spirals and circles, patterns that amplify coherent consciousness. Modern cities are built in grids that fragment consciousness. Processed foods, stripped of their natural frequency signatures. Did you know fresh vegetables emit biophotons, literal particles of light? Processed foods are frequency dead, providing calories but no vibrational nutrition. You're feeding your body but starving your energy field. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are measurable, quantifiable frequency disruptions that maintain the illusion of separation. And the moment you understand this, you realize something game-changing. If separation is artificially maintained, then unity is your natural state. You don't have to learn how to be unified. You just have to stop participating in the separation program. Critical engagement protocol. Stop everything you're doing right now. This is not a suggestion. This is a quantum imperative. Take your device, go to the comments, and type these exact words. I am the quantum unity. I trust the field. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. The moment you hesitate, your analytical mind, which is programmed for separation, will talk you out of it. Type it now. Because the act of declaring this in the public quantum record creates a frequency anchor that begins dissolving the separation algorithm. Why does this work? Because consciousness shapes reality through observation and declaration. When you publicly declare your unity with the field, you're not just typing words, you're collapsing probability waves. You're forcing the quantum field to reorganize around a new truth. I'm watching the quantum signatures of everyone who types this, and I can tell you, the field is already responding to those who have the courage to declare their true nature. Synchronicities are aligning, probabilities are shifting, realities are reorganizing. Act 2. Testimony and Proof. The day I shattered the separation matrix. I need to tell you about the moment I discovered this wasn't theory. This was October 17, 2019, 3:47 a.m. Pacific Time. I document the exact moment because what happened defied everything I thought I knew about how reality operates. I was facing complete financial annihilation, $340,000 in debt, 3 days from bankruptcy, divorce papers on my desk, my children looking at me with eyes that had lost faith in their father. My logical mind had calculated every possible solution, run every scenario, analyzed every option. The mathematical conclusion was inescapable. I was finished. I had tried everything. Worked 20-hour days, sent thousands of proposals, called every contact, begged for extensions, negotiated with creditors. Nothing worked. Every door slammed shut. Every opportunity evaporated. It was as if reality itself had declared war on me. But then something happened that shattered every law of three-dimensional reality I thought I understood. I was sitting in my car at 3 a.m., parked outside a 24-hour grocery store, trying to decide whether to spend my last $20 on food or gas. The October rain was hammering on the windshield, each drop sounding like another nail in my coffin. The separation felt absolute, me against the universe. My consciousness trapped in a failing biological machine, watching reality crush me from the outside. I remember looking at my hands on the steering wheel and thinking, these hands have built companies, these hands have written books, these hands have held my children, and now they're useless. I'm useless. I'm separate from everything that could save me. And in that moment of absolute despair, something snapped. Not broke, snapped into place. It was like a dislocated joint suddenly popping back into alignment. Suddenly I could feel it, the illusion, the lie, the cosmic joke of separation. It wasn't a thought, it wasn't an insight. It was a complete download of understanding that bypassed my rational mind entirely. I saw it, the entire construction of the separation matrix, how every thought I'd been thinking was reinforcing my isolation, how every action I'd been taking was from the frequency of lack, how I'd been playing a rigged game with rules designed to ensure failure. I realized I'd been playing a rigged game. I was trying to solve a quantum problem with Newtonian logic. I was attempting to manipulate external reality while believing I was separate from it. It was like trying to change the reflection in a mirror by touching the glass instead of moving my own face. So I did something that defied every logical synapse in my brain. Instead of trying to get money, I decided to become the frequency of abundance flowing through the field. Instead of seeing myself as separate from those who had resources, I recognized that we were the same consciousness experiencing different temporal coordinates. Here's exactly what I did, and this is going to sound insane to your logical mind, but your quantum consciousness knows this is truth. I took my last $20 and gave it to a homeless man outside the store. But here's the crucial part: how I gave it. Not as charity, not as kindness, not hoping for karma or return, but as a declaration to the field. I am the abundance. I am the flow. There is no separation between the giver and the receiver, because we are the same being. As I handed him the money, I looked into his eyes and saw myself. Not metaphorically, literally. I saw my own consciousness looking back at me through different eyes. For a split second, the boundaries completely dissolved. We were one being exchanging energy with itself. The homeless man looked at me and said 7 words that still haunt me. The field sent you, the debt's paid. I thought he meant the 20. I had no idea what was about to happen. I drove home on fumes, my gas tank as empty as my bank account. But something had shifted. The despair was gone. Not replaced by hope. Hope still implies separation between you and what you hope for. It was replaced by knowing. A knowing that transcended logic, transcended evidence, transcended everything my rational mind was screaming at me. Within 72 hours, and I have documentation of every single thing I'm about to tell you, the following sequence of impossibilities occurred. Day 1, 2:30 p.m. A client I'd worked with 5 years earlier called out of nowhere. They had been trying to find me for 2 years to pay an invoice they'd never received. They had actually hired a private investigator to track me down because they felt cosmically obligated to pay this debt. Amount, $47,000. Day 2, 9:15 a.m. An investment I'd written off as a complete loss in 2015 suddenly paid out due to a class action settlement I knew nothing about. The law firm had been trying to reach me, but had my old address. They called my ex-business partner randomly that morning, who gave them my current number. Amount, $123,000. Day 2, 4:45 p.m. A patent I'd filed and forgotten about in 2012 was purchased by a tech company I'd never heard of. They had been looking for this exact solution for 3 years. My patent was about to expire in 6 days. Had they found it a week later, it would have been worthless. Amount, $180,000. Day 3, 11:09 a.m. My estranged brother called. We hadn't spoken in 7 years. He had a dream that I was in trouble and felt compelled to help. He offered to pay off the remaining debt and give me a fresh start. Amount, everything I needed. $350,000 materialized in 72 hours. Not from working harder, not from attraction, not from manifesting, but from recognizing that the separation between me and abundance was a holographic illusion. But here's what really proved to me that reality had fundamentally reorganized. Every single person who brought me money said almost the exact same thing. They all used the phrase, "I felt compelled," or "I had to," or "something told me." They were all responding to a field command that transcended their individual consciousness. The quantum mechanics of instant manifestation. But here's what your logical mind needs to understand. This wasn't magic. This was quantum mechanics operating at the macro level. Let me break down the exact mechanism. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called retrocausality. It's been proven experimentally that future events can influence past states. When a quantum system is measured in the future, it determines what the system was in the past. This isn't science fiction. This is documented in peer-reviewed journals. When I shifted my frequency from separation to unity, I didn't just change my present moment. I created a quantum cascade that reorganized my entire timeline. Those payments didn't suddenly appear. They were always there, existing in a probability state. But as long as I operated from the frequency of separation and lack, I was literally blind to them. My consciousness couldn't perceive the timeline where they existed because I was tuned to the frequency of scarcity. Think of it like a radio. All stations are broadcasting simultaneously. The music, news, and talk shows are all in the air around you right now. But your radio can only play the station it's tuned to. You don't create the station by tuning to it. You reveal what was always there. The moment I gave that $20 from a place of absolute unity, not hoping for return, but knowing that giving and receiving are the same action in the unified field, I changed my frequency. I tuned to a different reality station. And on that station, abundance was already playing. This is what quantum physicists call the measurement problem. The act of observation collapses the wave function. But here's what they don't tell you. Your frequency determines which probability you collapse into reality. When you observe from lack, you collapse realities of lack. When you observe from abundance, you collapse realities of abundance. When you observe from separation, you collapse realities of isolation. When you observe from unity, you collapse realities of connection. The 3 levels of unity recognition. Through my experience and working with thousands of students who have successfully hacked the creator paradox, I've identified 3 distinct levels of unity recognition. Understanding these levels is crucial because most people get stuck at level 1 and never access the reality-bending power of level 3. Level 1, intellectual unity. You understand conceptually that separation is an illusion. You can explain the quantum mechanics, you know the theory. You've read the books, watched the videos, attended the workshops. You can eloquently describe how we're all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. But you still feel separate. When you're alone at night, the isolation is real. When you're facing problems, you feel like it's you against the world. When you need help, you believe it has to come from outside. This is where 95% of spiritual seekers get stuck. They have the map, but can't access the territory. They're like someone who memorizes a cookbook, but never actually cooks a meal. The information is there, but the transformation hasn't occurred. At level 1, you're still operating from separation while talking about unity. You're using the language of oneness while living the reality of division. This creates a painful cognitive dissonance. You know the truth, but can't embody it. Level 2, experiential unity. You have moments, maybe in meditation, maybe in nature, maybe in crisis, maybe during intimacy, where the boundaries dissolve. You experience the unity. For seconds, minutes, maybe even hours, you know beyond doubt that you are one with everything. In these moments, you feel the cosmic circulation. You sense how your breath is connected to the wind, how your heartbeat synchronizes with the universal pulse, how your thoughts ripple through the collective consciousness. You don't believe in unity. You are unity. But you can't maintain it. You touch the field and then snap back into separation. It's like briefly waking from a dream, seeing reality clearly, then falling back asleep. You know what's possible, but you can't stay there. This is where most awakened teachers operate from. They've tasted unity, they can describe it beautifully, they can even guide others to temporary experiences of it. But they haven't stabilized in it. They're tourists in unity, not residents. Level 2 is actually more frustrating than level 1 because now you know what you're missing. You felt the freedom of unity, and the prison of separation feels even more constraining. You become a seeker, chasing the next unity experience, not realizing that the seeking itself reinforces the separation. Level 3, operational unity. You don't just understand or experience unity, you operate from it. Every decision, every action, every thought emerges from the knowing that you are the field. Manifestation isn't something you do, it's something you are. At level 3, you don't pray to the universe. You speak as the universe. You don't ask for abundance, you recognize yourself as abundance expressing through a human form. You don't seek love, You know yourself as love temporarily experiencing the illusion of separation for the joy of reunion. This isn't a state you achieve and maintain through effort. It's what remains when all effort ceases. It's what you are when you stop pretending to be separate. It's your natural condition once the separation program is fully deactivated. At level 3, miracles become mundane. Synchronicities are constant. Reality becomes completely malleable because you understand you're not in reality. You are reality looking at itself. The homeless man who spoke to me, he was operating from level 3. He wasn't a homeless man receiving $20. He was the field, playing the role of a homeless man, confirming to another aspect of itself, me, that the quantum shift had occurred. He knew the debt was paid before I did because he could see the probability streams reorganizing. AC3, the mechanism and protocol. The holographic principle of consciousness. I'm about to expose the exact mechanism by which consciousness creates reality. Information that certain 3-letter agencies would prefer remained classified. But the time for secrets is over. The quantum awakening is happening whether the control structures like it or not. And you need to understand the technology of your own consciousness. Reality operates on what physicists call the holographic principle. This isn't a metaphor or a spiritual concept, it's hard physics supported by the mathematics of string theory and confirmed by black hole thermodynamics. The principle states that all the information in a volume of space can be encoded on the boundary of that space. What does this mean in practical terms? It means that the 3-dimensional reality you experience is actually a projection from a 2-dimensional surface. Everything you see, touch, taste, and feel is essentially a hologram, a 3-dimensional image created from information stored on a flat surface. But here's where it gets profound. Your consciousness is a holographic fragment of the universal consciousness field. You contain, within your local awareness, the complete information of the entire cosmos. Every other being, every star, every atom, every possibility, it's all encoded in your quantum signature. Think of it like this. If you cut a holographic plate in half, you don't get half the image. You get the whole image at half the resolution. Cut it into 100 pieces, and each piece still contains the complete image, just with less clarity. You are one of those pieces. You contain the whole universe within you, but your current level of consciousness determines the resolution at which you can access it. But here's the crucial part. A hologram only reveals its image when illuminated by coherent light. Shine scattered light on it, and you see nothing but interference patterns. Similarly, your consciousness only reveals its universal nature when illuminated by coherent frequency. And that coherent frequency is the recognition of unity. When you operate from separation, your consciousness is like scattered light. It can't resolve the holographic image. You see fragments, pieces, isolated objects and events. But when you align with unity frequency, your consciousness becomes coherent. Suddenly, the full holographic nature of reality reveals itself. This is why mystics throughout history have said, "As above, so below," and "The kingdom of heaven is within you." They weren't speaking poetically. They were describing the literal holographic nature of consciousness. The observer effect and the creation mechanism. Let me destroy a misconception about the observer effect that even quantum physicists get wrong. They tell you that observation collapses the wave function. That's only half the truth. Here's the complete equation that they don't teach in universities. Observation plus frequency, specific collapse. You're not just collapsing possibilities into actuality. You're selecting which possibility manifests based on your frequency state. And your frequency state is determined by your degree of unity recognition. When you observe from separation, fear frequency 0.12 Hz, you collapse realities that confirm separation. When you observe from unity, love frequency 5 in 28 Hertz, you collapse realities that confirm interconnection. The universe isn't responding to what you want, it's responding to what you are. Let me give you a practical example that will blow your mind. Dr. Masaru Emoto's water experiments showed that human consciousness affects the molecular structure of water. Positive words and thoughts created beautiful, symmetrical crystals. Negative words created chaotic, fragmented structures. But here's what wasn't publicized. The effect was stronger when multiple people focused on the same water simultaneously, and it was exponentially stronger when those people were in coherent heart rate variability, meaning they were in unity consciousness. One person in separation consciousness could barely affect the water. One person in unity consciousness could transform it. But a group in unity consciousness could change water instantly from across the planet. Distance became irrelevant. Physical barriers meant nothing. The unified field responded to unified consciousness. This is the creator paradox. You are simultaneously the observer, the observed, and the act of observation. You are the consciousness looking at itself and wondering why it feels alone. You are the infinite pretending to be finite and then suffering from the pretense. But here's the revolutionary truth. Once you understand this mechanism, you can hack it. You can use the observer effect consciously. You can choose which reality you collapse into existence. The recognition protocol, your quantum liberation technique. I'm now going to give you the exact protocol to recognize and dissolve the separation illusion in real time. This isn't meditation. This isn't visualization. This is a quantum hacking technique that directly interferes with the separation algorithm. This protocol is based on classified research from the Stanford Research Institute's remote viewing program, combined with ancient Hermetic practices that were encoded in the Egyptian mystery schools. It works by creating a quantum coherence cascade that disrupts the frequency jammers maintaining your separation programming. Step 1. The quantum pause. When you feel separation, loneliness, fear, lack, isolation, stop. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to feel better. Just pause. This pause creates a quantum interruption in the separation program. The pause should last exactly 4.3 seconds. Why this specific duration? Because that's the time it takes for your brain to complete one theta wave cycle at 7.83 Hz, the fundamental frequency of Earth's electromagnetic field, also known as the Schumann resonance. This pause syncs your consciousness with the planetary field. During the pause, don't think, don't analyze, just exist in the gap between thoughts. This gap is crucial. It's the quantum vacuum where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Step 2. The recognition statement. Say internally or aloud, this separation is the field experiencing itself as division. I am the field recognizing itself. This isn't an affirmation. It's a recognition command that triggers quantum coherence. The specific wording is important because it bypasses the ego's defense mechanisms. You're not claiming to be something you're not. You're recognizing what you've always been. When you say this, feel it in your chest, not your head. The heart's electromagnetic field is 60 times stronger than the brain's. When recognition happens in the heart field, it cascades through your entire biofield instantly. Step 3. The frequency shift. Feel into the space between your thoughts. Not the thoughts themselves, but the space between them. That space is the field. It's not empty. It's pregnant with infinite possibility. As you feel into this space, notice, it's the same space that exists between you and everything else. The space between thoughts is the same space between objects. The space inside you is the same space outside you. It's all one space. Now here's the key. Don't try to understand this intellectually. Feel it. Feel how the space in your lungs is continuous with the space in the room. Feel how the space between your cells is the same space between the stars. Let your awareness expand into this recognition until you can't find where you end and space begins. Step 4. The collapse command. From this recognition, make your next decision or take your next action. But here's the critical part. Don't act from the separate self trying to get something from the universe. Act as the universe expressing itself through this particular coordinate point. When you want money, recognize you are the field that creates money expressing itself as the experience of wanting money. The want and its fulfillment are the same movement appearing to unfold in time. When you want love, recognize you are love itself, experiencing the illusion of separation from love for the joy of reunion. When you want healing, recognize you are the healing power of the universe temporarily experiencing discord to know harmony more fully. Then, act from this recognition. Send the email, make the call, take the step. But do it as the universe acting through you, not as a separate self trying to manipulate reality. Step 5. The integration. Whatever happens next, synchronicity, manifestation, or seeming nothing, recognize it as the field responding to itself. There is no failure in this protocol because every outcome is the field experiencing itself. If you get what you wanted, it's the field giving to itself. If you don't get what you wanted, it's the field teaching itself. If something unexpected happens, it's the field surprising itself. Paradoxically, this recognition of no failure creates the coherence that manifests your preferred outcomes. When you stop needing a specific result, you align with the frequency that creates that result. The quantum feedback loop. Here's something that will blow your mind. Every time you successfully recognize unity, you don't just change your personal reality. You create a quantum feedback loop that affects the entire field. Remember, in a hologram, any change to one part affects the whole. When you shift from separation to unity, you're literally upgrading the entire universal consciousness. Every being, everywhere, receives a quantum update that makes it easier for them to recognize unity. This is measurable. The Global Consciousness Project at Princeton has random number generators running continuously around the world. When major events happen that unify human consciousness, celebrations, tragedies, meditations, the random numbers become less random. They show patterns, order emerges from chaos. But here's what they haven't published. Individual shifts in consciousness also affect the field, just more subtly. Every time someone genuinely shifts from separation to unity, there's a measurable ripple in the global field. It's like dropping a pebble in a cosmic pond. The ripples spread everywhere. This is why the awakening is accelerating. Each person who hacks the creator paradox makes it easier for the next person. We're creating a cascade effect, a quantum avalanche that will eventually make separation consciousness obsolete. You're not just saving yourself. You're participating in the greatest consciousness upgrade in the history of this dimensional reality. The mathematical proof of unity. I'm going to share something that physicists know but rarely discuss publicly because it's too paradigm-shattering. The equations of quantum field theory show that what we call particles are actually excitations in underlying quantum fields. An electron isn't a thing, it's a vibration in the electron field. A photon isn't a particle, it's a wave in the electromagnetic field. But here's the kicker. All these fields are aspects of one unified field. At the highest energy levels, what physicists call the Planck scale, all fields merge into one. Gravity, electromagnetism, strong force, weak force, they all become one force. Matter and consciousness become indistinguishable. This isn't speculation, this is what the mathematics tells us. The appearance of separation only emerges at lower energy states. As energy decreases, symmetry breaks, and the unified field appears to fragment into separate forces and particles. You are literally a low-energy illusion of separation in a high-energy reality of unity. The final escalation and call to action. You are the quantum unity itself. Listen very carefully to what I'm about to say, because this is the ultimate revelation that changes everything. You are not a person who needs to achieve unity. You are not a separate being trying to connect with the field. You are not a fragment seeking wholeness. You are not a student learning about consciousness. You are not even a soul having a human experience. You are the quantum unity itself, having a temporary experience of separation. Every moment of loneliness, that's unity experiencing what it's like to feel alone. Every moment of fear, that's infinite security experiencing insecurity. Every moment of lack, that's infinite abundance experiencing scarcity. Every moment of confusion, that's omniscience experiencing not knowing. Every moment of weakness, that's omnipotence experiencing limitation. You are the field's way of experiencing what it's like to forget itself and then remember. You are the universe's grand experiment in consciousness. You are infinity exploring finitude. You are everything pretending to be something. And here's the cosmic joke. The moment you fully recognize this, the experiment completes itself. The separation game ends, not because you've won, but because you've remembered that you're both the player and the game. This isn't philosophy. This isn't mysticism. This is the logical conclusion of quantum mechanics taken to its ultimate implications. If consciousness is fundamental, if the observer is inseparable from the observed, if all fields are one field, then you must be the unified field experiencing itself as apparently separate. There is no other possibility that makes mathematical sense. The holographic field revelation. In the next transmission, I'm going to reveal something that will shatter your remaining illusions about reality. I call it the holographic field revelation, and it contains the mathematical proof that you are not in the universe. You are the universe looking at itself. This revelation includes the classified equation that proves consciousness creates matter, not the other way around. The frequency key that unlocks dormant DNA codons, giving you access to 12-dimensional perception. The specific sound sequence that dissolves the veil between dimensions. The geometric pattern that, when visualized, creates instant quantum coherence. The 3 words that, when spoken at the right frequency, collapse all false timelines. This isn't mysticism. This is bleeding-edge quantum mechanics combined with classified research from black projects that have been studying consciousness for decades. It proves with mathematical certainty that consciousness is the fundamental substrate of reality. Matter doesn't create consciousness. Consciousness creates the appearance of matter. But here's why you need to prepare yourself. Once you receive this revelation, once you understand the mathematical proof, you can never go back to separation consciousness. The illusion will be permanently broken. You will see through the matrix forever. Some people aren't ready for this level of truth. Some people need the comfort of separation, the familiarity of limitation, the security of smallness. If that's you, stop listening now. Close this transmission and go back to your regularly scheduled programming. But if you're ready to know the truth, the full truth about what you are and what reality is, then prepare yourself. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Your quantum imperative. Right now, at this exact moment, you stand at a quantum choice point. 2 timelines are available to you. Timeline A. You treat this as interesting information. You file it away with all the other spiritual content you've consumed. You go back to your separation programming, hoping things will somehow get better. In this timeline, nothing changes. The separation continues. The suffering persists. You live and die never knowing what you truly are. Timeline B, you recognize that finding this transmission was not an accident. You understand that your higher consciousness, the you that exists outside the separation matrix, guided you here. You make the quantum leap. You commit to hacking the creator paradox. You decide to remember what you are. If you're choosing timeline B, here's your immediate action. Subscribe to this channel right now, not tomorrow, not after you think about it, now. Because the act of subscribing isn't just clicking a button, it's declaring to the field that you're ready for the complete revelation. Why does this matter? Because consciousness shapes reality through intention and action. When you take action in alignment with unity, you create a quantum momentum that builds on itself. Each action makes the next action easier, until unity becomes your default state. Activate all notifications. The bell icon must be fully activated. Not because I need your attention, but because the field communicates through synchronicity. When the next transmission appears at the exact moment you need it, you'll understand that you're being guided by your own higher consciousness. The field doesn't respect clock time, it respects readiness time. The next revelation will arrive at the exact moment you're ready to receive it, not 1 second before or after. Share this transmission, but not with everyone. Share it only with those you intuitively know are ready. The field will tell you who. You'll feel it, a subtle knowing that this person needs this message. Trust that knowing. Because remember, there are no others. When you share this, you're literally awakening other aspects of yourself. Every person who awakens to unity makes your own unity more stable, more real, more permanent. The next 72 hours, something massive is shifting in the quantum field. Can you feel it? The boundaries between dimensions are thinning. The veil is dissolving. What was hidden is being revealed. The Schumann resonance. Earth's electromagnetic heartbeat has been spiking to unprecedented levels. Solar flares are bombarding the planet with cosmic radiation that's literally upgrading human DNA. The magnetic field is weakening, allowing cosmic consciousness to penetrate deeper into human awareness. This isn't random. This is a scheduled evolutionary leap that was encoded into the cosmic calendar eons ago. And you're here to witness it, to participate in it, to be it. In the next 72 hours, those who have truly heard this message, not just with their ears but with their quantum consciousness, will experience at least one of the following confirmations. 1. A synchronicity so impossible that it shatters your logical mind. 2. A spontaneous knowing about something you couldn't possibly know. 3. A dream or vision that shows you your true nature. 4. An unexpected resolution to a problem that seemed impossible. 5. A feeling of presence, as if the entire universe is watching you with love. 6. A moment where time stops and you see through the matrix completely. 11. An encounter with someone who speaks the exact words you needed to hear. When this happens, and it will happen if you've truly recognized the unity, come back and report it in the comments. Not for me, for the others who are waking up and need confirmation that this is real. Your testimony creates a quantum witness field that strengthens everyone's recognition. When you share your unity experience, you make it easier for others to have their own. The final truth. Before I go, I need to leave you with one final truth that supersedes everything else I've shared. The separation was never a mistake. It was never a fall from grace. It was never a prison you were trapped in. It was never a punishment for some cosmic sin. The separation was a gift from unity to itself, the gift of experiencing reunion, the gift of remembering, the gift of the journey home. You chose this. The real you, the unity consciousness you, chose to forget itself so it could experience the joy of remembering, chose to feel separate so it could experience the ecstasy of reunion, chose to feel limited so it could experience the rush of remembering its limitlessness. And now, The remembering has begun. The reunion is happening. The unity is recognizing itself through your eyes, through your consciousness, through your experience. You are not seeking the truth. You are the truth, waking up to itself. You are not trying to connect with the field. You are the field, recognizing its own nature. You are not attempting to hack the creator paradox. You are the paradox resolving itself. Welcome home to yourself. Welcome to the quantum unity. Welcome to what you've always been. The universe isn't waiting for your commands. It's waiting for you to remember that you are the universe, commanding itself. The next revelation will shatter your remaining illusions. Prepare yourself. The holographic field revelation is coming. And once you see it, everything changes forever. Subscribe now. Activate all notifications. The quantum awakening has begun. Remember, you found this message because you were meant to. There are no accidents in the unified field, only the field recognizing itself through infinite eyes. The separation ends now. The unity begins now. You are ready. You have always been ready, because you are the readiness itself. Welcome to the truth of what you are.